leadership going forward is only going to be great if women are at 50%. Hi, I'm Sally Helgesen. I'm an author, speaker, and leadership development consultant, and I work all over the world. Here I'm going to talk about 5 of those behaviors that most commonly get in women's ways. The first behavior is a reluctance to claim your achievements, expecting others to spontaneously notice and reward your contributions and your hard work. When I do workshops now, I often ask, how good are you at bringing attention to your work? And what I often hear is, I'm not good at that at all. And when I ask them, why aren't you good? I hear one of 2 responses. The first is, I would think that if I do good work, people should notice. They probably should, but I don't think it's going to happen in today's workplace. The other thing I hear is, if I have to act like that obnoxious jerk down the hall to get noticed, I'd rather not get noticed. And that's problematic because it behaves an either-or way of thinking that is going to get in your way. If you set yourself up, either you're obnoxious and constantly talking about yourself, or you just hang back and hope others notice, you've got a kind of no-win place to be. For example, you might identify, I think that my boss doesn't really understand how well connected I am in this organization. So I think what I'm going to do is once a week, I'm going to shoot him a quick email that just summarizes the main people that I've managed to talk to that week. I have seen this be remarkably successful for women. The second behavior is the disease to please. That is hoping and wanting everyone to think you are a wonderful and always nice person. Now, this is a typical behavior that can be very helpful early in your career, but can really get in your way as you seek to rise. Why is that true? First of all, if you're always seeking to please, you're going to have a hard time holding other people accountable for showing up for what they've promised, because you're going to be afraid that maybe they won't like you. You're going to have a hard time saying no to things and end up saying yes too often, and you're going to let people who'll take advantage violate your own boundaries and waste a lot of time. We're not saying here that you don't want to be a wonderful person, but being invested in everyone thinking you're wonderful and nice is, if you seek to rise, going to get in your way. If you can start small, again, by asserting boundaries in one way, say to yourself, right now I'm overcommitted, so that in the next month, when people ask me to join a new task force or something else, I'm going to think about it very deliberately before I say yes. And I'm not only going to think about how would it please them, but I'm going to think about how might it serve me? Is this really in my best interests? A third behavior that often gets in women's way is perfectionism. Trying to put so much energy into doing everything right that you can't see the forest through the trees, and you waste a lot of time trying to make improvements at the margins that aren't going to necessarily position you to move higher. One big problem with being a perfectionist is that you'll have trouble delegating work to other people, because you're so invested in it being perfect, you're going to be afraid that they'll make mistakes. So you'll end up doing often a lot of work of other people's yourself. And I often hear perfectionists say, oh, it's just easier to do everything myself. Now again, you want to start small here. You might just want to identify one person who you're going to decide to delegate to, give them an opportunity, offer them feedback, but don't stay on top of it and take that risk. One of the things that's really interesting is that studies show that women in organizations tend to be more rewarded for being precise and correct, whereas men in organizations tend to be rewarded more for risk-taking and boldness. So as you seek to rise, you want to learn to take risks and move away from being overly precise and perfectionistic. The fourth behavior is ruminating over the mistakes you've made. This can really keep you stuck. And it's much more common in women than men. Research has shown that rumination is much more likely to be a behavioral impediment for women. It's a form of beating yourself up. Rather than letting mistakes go and figuring you're a human being and you will make mistakes like everyone else. Finally, minimizing, either in terms of the speech or minimizing in terms of how you hold your physical self in the world. Women can be reluctant to hold their space. That is, shrinking their body at times, or not really standing up with authority as if they belong where they are, especially when they're at higher echelons or trying to position themselves as a leader. Women often will also use minimizing phrases in their speech. Oh, do you just have 1 minute? Can I only make 1 point? And of course, our old favorite, apologizing, is a form of minimizing yourself. So what you want to do, if you're trying to position yourself as a leader, is to hold your space and show up as if you know that you are worthy, whole, and complete. But I want to point out that I've been doing a lot of interviews and a lot of events, and I can't tell you how many times men have said to me, I really identify with some of these behaviors. And that speaks to, I think, a greater commonality between women and men that is one of the real forces that is driving and changing the workplace.